Hello everyone. Today we're going to study about the city Jaffa, which is in the center of the land of Israel, and it's in the old city of Tel Aviv. Right now, the city Tel Aviv, it's called Tel Aviv Yafo. So it's actually the same city right now. But actually, Tel Aviv was born from a Jewish group that initially lived in Jaffa, and they bought land north of it, and they established the big city of Tel Aviv. Today, it's one of the biggest cities in Israel, and also it's one of the greatest city in the Middle East. The Hebrew Bible tells us that Yona the prophet, he goes to the city Yafo in the land of Israel. It's on the shore. It's a big port, very ancient port, by the way. And he boarded the ship because he wanted to run away from what God told him to do, or what he think God told him to do. And he goes to the ship, and there's a big storm, and the ship is rocking and going here and here and here, and the sailors and all the people on the boat, they are so afraid from the storm and the rain and the wind and the waves, and they start to pray, and they're asking everyone else also to pray because there's people from other countries as well. So the sailors, they see that Yona is somewhere along and not with the people which are praying and yelling and crying, and they tell him, "Hey, you come here and come here." They ask him, "Where are you from? Who is your God?" So he's telling them, "I'm a Hebrew, and my God is the God of Israel." Okay, so just that. Okay, check this out. So it comes from Yafo. He's a Hebrew. His God is the God of Israel. So check this out. He didn't say that he's a Palestinian. Didn't the Nazis are telling us that Yafo is in Palestine and it's been settled by Palestinians for centuries? Didn't you hear that Yafo is a city in Palestine and it was populated by Palestinians for centuries, many centuries, and they are the originally inhabited. Didn't you hear this kind of stuff? Yafo, Here you have something from BC, from I don't know, I think maybe it's the 8th century BC. So that's about 2,800 years ago. And he's saying, I'm a Hebrew. He doesn't say that he's a Palestinian. And my God is the God of Israel. He doesn't say that his God is the God of Palestine. So here you go. So that's why there's no such thing as Palestine. Bye. Okay, so brief history of Jaffa. So after the kingdom of Israel, kingdom of Judea were destroyed by the Babylonians and by the Assyrians in the 8th century BC, and then in the 7th century BC. The Babylonian ruled the land, and then afterwards the Persians, the Jews returned in that time, and Jaffa later became one of those cities that became Hellenized, meaning that they became like the Greek culture, and there were also Greek settlers that came to the land, not just in Jaffa, also the entire shore area was heavily influenced by the Greeks and the Macedonians. And this is why when the Jews restored their sovereignty in the middle of the 2nd century BC, after the Hanukkah revolt, the famous Hanukkah revolt, they conquered Jaffa and they made it into a Jewish city. And this is why 200 years after that, during the first Jewish revolt against the Romans, in the year 63 CE, the Romans had to fight against the Jews of Jaffa, and really they massacred the Jews over there and they expelled them to other parts of the Roman Empire. But even after that, during the Roman and during the Byzantine period, we do hear about Jewish presence in the city. Also after that, in the Arab period from the 7th century to the 12th century, we hear about Jewish presence in the city. The city had ups and downs, but its real prime time was actually during the Crusade period, because the city became a very big port city. Eventually, the Crusader lost to the Mamluks. The Mamluks destroyed every single port city in the land of Israel, in the exception of Gaza. So, and they did it. It took them some time because we have the Mamluks took control of the land completely in the year 1267, and in 1291 they destroyed the last big port crusade city in the land of Israel, Akko. Okay, but we still have in the year 1330, we have a Jewish traveler that is talking about Jewish people living in the city of Jaffa. So we know that the destruction or the abandonment of the city took some time, because we have Felix Fabri, a very famous Christian traveler who traveled to Israel in the end of the Mamluk period, about in the year 1450, and he says that Jaffa, there's nothing in Jaffa. It's like there are a few caves, and over there you have some Mamluk soldiers, and they sleep over there, and you have some Jewish and Christian pilgrims that go there, and then the Muslims ask them to pay money just to take them to here and there, to Jerusalem usually, or to Bethlehem. So really, like, Felix Fabri is there, and he's saying that the land is basically barren and deserted, and Jaffa was one of the examples for that. So when the Ottoman period started in the year 1517, Jaffa is the city of Jaffa is actually most of it deserted, destroyed, and only in the beginning of the 18th century, the city start to get some attention, and mainly because both the British, the French, and the Russians, they start to maneuver and use the land of Israel as a playground for them trying to wrestle each other economically, basically. And this is why it get to a peak when Napoleon Bonaparte invade the land of Israel in the year 1799. And one of the most famous thing that he's doing is that he's massacring everyone in the city of Jaffa. That was in the year 1799. And the reason for what he's doing is that he already defeated some Egyptians, not Palestinians, not Arabs, Turkish and Egyptians in a former battle. I think it was in El Arish. I think, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it was in Gaza. I think it was El Arish, or maybe Rafiq. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now over there, he defeated the army over there, the Ottoman army or Mamluk army, and some of them he let them go. He didn't execute them. With them sworn to him that they will not fight him. But he ended up meeting the same people in Jaffa, and this is why he actually killed everyone, including the civilian. But not so many. How many civilians lives in Jaffa? I can tell you that we don't have a lot of reports, but we do have reports, Jewish reports, that there was in the 17th century and also 18th century, there was a Jewish guy. We don't remember his name. I mean, there's some reports about some other people that had like an inn, like a small hotel for Jewish pilgrims, and later that place became like a small synagogue for the pilgrims, Jewish pilgrims coming to the land of Israel. Also, Olim, people that came to live in Israel. Most of the time they came through Jaffa, if not from Akko. So you need to understand that it is something that most people don't realize about the land of Israel, is that its port were destroyed most of the Mamluk and the Ottoman period. And the only entry, if you were to come to the land of Israel in the 14th century, you would either do it in Jaffa or in Gaza. Other places were simply destroyed. You had to go to Beirut. I think you will hear that people, when they landed in the land, they actually did it in Beirut or in Sidon or in Tyre, or actually in Alexandria, not in any other port in the land of Israel. So this is just show you how the land was barren, destroyed, neglected by the Muslim occupation. Okay, What Palestine was there? What kingdom of Palestine was there? It's complete bullshit. So only later, in the end of the 18th century, the Jewish community and also the Ottoman interest in the city came to grow. There were commanders, there were leaders, and the city actually started to grow. And already in the end of the, in the end of the 18th century, as I was saying, a Jewish community started to evolve in Jaffa, and already in 1820, they started to get some houses, and also in the 1840s they were able to they bought some land from the Templars, by the way, not from the Arabs, and the community started to grow so much over the century that, and they end up having to buy new land in the north of the city and create Tel Aviv, basically. But at no point Jaffa was a city in a state or a country or a kingdom called Palestine. Okay, it's not a Palestinian city. Okay, it's just stupid. Okay, bye bye.